en heren, jongens en meisjes, heel hartelijk welkom hier in Haag in het Cuba Stadion voor wedstrijd nummer 2 van deze dinsdag. We hebben alweer gekeken naar de Japan, de Italianen, nogal colorij, zullen we zeggen. Zwaar goed, de Japanners, dat is leuk te zien. Maar nu staat een andere prachtige wedstrijd op het programma. Het is Curaçao tegen Cuba. De eilanden die we tegen elkaar gaan opnemen. Het uitspelende team is Curaçao en die ga ik dan ook eerst als eerst aan u voorstellen. Ze staan onder leiding van de manager, Spazia. Alle coaches zijn Carlos Pineda, Quincy Martina, Janelo Johnson, Dennis Newman en Gustavo de Jong. En dan stel je voor aan de line-up van Curaçao. Als eerste op de slaglijst is midfielder met pak nummer 2, Sherman Lacruz. De tweede honkman met pak nummer 11 is Leo Reddy van Turk. Korte stop met nummer 1 op de rug is Karen Severina. De eerste honkman met nummer 28, Alexander Rodriguez. Derde honkman met nummer 21, Dudley Leonora. De rechtshalder is met pak nummer 24, Opwin Pieterella. De aangewezen slagman met nummer 30, Johannes Gregorius. De catcher met nummer 27 is Stefan Vidal. En de linkshalder met nummer 4, Reginald Carolina. De startende ruimkant van Curaçao is Jordan Lucas. And give it up for the rest of Team Curaçao.
Ik hoop u vanaf mijn positie van harte welkom. En dan beginnen we met de coaches van Cuba. Allereerst Carlos Marti, Luis Fernandez, Ramon Rodriguez, Leonardo Soto en Ciro Licea. En dan de line-up van Cuba. Midvelder, pak nummer 20, Leonel Noa. Tweede honkman, pak nummer 52, Osvaldo Abreu. Pak nummer 11, korte stop, Alexander Ayala. Aangewezen slagman, pak nummer 34, iemand in een Frederic Cepeda. Speler met pak nummer 21. Eerstel Guillermo Aviles. Linksvelder pak nummer 72 Dennis Laza. Tweede honkman speler met pak nummer 5 Carlos Benitez. Catcher pak nummer 66 Ivan Pietro. De pak nummer 22 rechtsvelder Alex Guillermo Sanchez. De zakkende pitcher met pak nummer 71 Leandro Martinez. And please line up the rest of the team of Cuba. En dan de umpires, niet onbelangrijk natuurlijk ook bij deze wedstrijd. De umpires. Home plate voor Marek Mikar. First base Tom Belman. Second base Edwin Luisa. En third base Nick Elso. door wisselscorers. De rennen van Drunen, Karin Pieman en Marco Stomelaar. Dan wil ik u vragen om te gaan staan. Ondanks, ja, het zonnetje is ondertussen weg. Maar in ieder geval uit respect voor de volkslied alle hoofddeksels af te zetten. En dan luister je eerst naar het volkslied van Curaçao. En dan nu het volkslied van Cuba.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a warm welcome from Harlem. Once again, we are back for Game 2 of a 3-game day. And we will be taking a good look at Cuba taking on Team Curaçao, the surprisingly attractively playing Team Curaçao that really has surprised a couple of people quite a bit. I am lucky enough to be joined in the booth today as my co-announcer, the foremost expert on Cuban baseball within Europe, Mr. Gawain Owen. Thank you so much for joining me today.
No, thank you, and loving being here. It's one of my favourite tournaments to attend whenever I can, so thank you.
Much appreciated. That's fantastic. So can you tell the people at home how do you know so much about Cuban baseball? Where did your love for Cuban baseball start?
Great question. So 2004 was actually the pre-Olympic tournament in Cuba, Italy, that also the Netherlands were at. The first opportunity to see the Cuban baseball, and just really fell in love with how authentic, how raw it was. And they obviously went on to win the gold medal. And then actually saw them afterwards at the World Cup here,
right.
that was in Haarlem and Rotterdam. And then pretty much every year since, either coming to Hong Kong or to the World Port Tournament, as well as then seeing them in the Classic and in Korea.
That's right.
Within the Premier 12. So that's kind of where the love has been. But we are probably going to talk about, we're kind of in this pivot point where the Cuban team is pivoting from those kind of classic names, 2012 when they won the tournament here in Haarlem, now into where, frankly, they have to win today.
We're going to move your mic just a little bit closer because I'm getting a heads up from our director in the back behind me that we need to turn you up a little bit. So there we go. Yeah, that's great information. So how do you follow Cuban baseball? Because I have been struggling to find the information I need these past couple of days to talk about these players.
Absolutely, that's a great question. So I think there's kind of two elements. I work with a guy called Phil Seelig, Cuba Dugout, fill in the blanks. We have a very unique perspective that we are native English speakers. We absolutely love Cuban baseball. So we do our best to kind of give it the European, North American viewpoint, whereas then you obviously have the Hispanic titles primarily based out of Miami. Peluda Cabana is one of those, Swing Completo is one of those sites that is primarily then within native language. But we're very much using our contacts on the island, giving our viewpoint that is probably a slightly different viewpoint to maybe some of those people based in Miami.
Right, that makes perfect sense. As we are underway here, and we saw Leandro Martinez throw a first pitch ball, and the second pitch is chopped foul by Sherman LaCruz from Willemstad Curaçao, Santa Maria Pirates. What can you tell us, for instance, about Leandro Martinez, the current starting pitcher, the left-hander from Cuba?
Yeah, so he played here in Haarlem in 2012, which was the last time the team won the tournament here. He then went on to play in the Classic in 2017. Age 44, which kind of questionable why he's still on the team. However, he kind of mixes it up, kind of low 80s fastball now. But it's good to have a wise head on the mound in this very important game today.
Yeah, I think he's the oldest player in the tournament this year. Well, I know that for sure, but I think he's also one of the oldest who ever attended Hongball Week. So he might hold a record. I might have to double check that, but I think he's at 44, like you said. Not a lot of 44-year-olds here at the tournament in recent years. I can tell you that, as he is currently at a 2-2 count against Sherman LaCruz, who's been batting 182 on the tournament so far, and LaCruz smacks it to the right side. Handled cleanly initially, but then Benitez with a, I don't know what that throw was, but it was not on the base. It was not accurate. So that would be an error, should be an error on second baseman Carlos Benitez. Yep, that is indeed correct. Throwing error on Carlos Benitez. So we've talked about this team quite a bit during these broadcasts. They are the champions, the reigning champions, basically from the Serie Nacional, Alazanes de Granma. Supplemented with some other good players, I assume. Do you have any insight on why they picked these players, or is it just because they were available?
So I think the only consistency when it comes to Cuban baseball is the inconsistency. I think that's kind of gone time after time when you see the teams that come to Haarlem. I think Peter Bartman, who sadly passed away, he quoted me in his book as shopping comes first, baseball comes second when it comes to playing in the Netherlands. And sometimes players are given that opportunity to come over as a reward to shop rather than to actually play ball.
Yeah, we've heard that before as well. Yeah, it's more of a like a carrot that is driven into center field by Ray Wembley van Geur for a single. So Curaçao is in business here with runners on first and second, nobody out against the veteran with a capital V, Leandro Martinez. It's also been interesting to see this Cuban team basically fielding the same 9 players every single day in the starting lineup.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's created some debate on the island because this tournament you have to absolutely start quick. We know it's a pitching tournament, there's very few home runs. The Japanese are very good at playing that small ball, and you have to manufacture the runs, and then I think the Cuba team's batting around about 200, so you have to mix it up. But Marty, the manager, is very loyal with his go-to players every day.
As Martinez winds and delivers a breaking ball for a strike. I remembered when we announced the Cuban team coming to Hongball Week again. Instantly, my inbox started filling up with requests from scouts. Can you please send me the Cuban roster the moment you have it? So despite the fact that over the years, as there is strike 2 to Darren Seyfarina, despite the fact that a lot of the Cuban talent has left the island over the years, there's still scouting interest in these players.
Absolutely. I think scouts are always interested, potentially just picking up their frequent flyer miles in 2022, because reality is, when you look at the roster, there is very, very little talent here that's throwing above 90, can hit a fastball at 95 miles an hour. However, the scouts always need to be prepared in case someone leaves and seeing what they want to do with them.
Right. As we've seen an incredible amount of enormously talented Cubans over the years here at Hongball Week. We talked about it in the broadcast the other day. Jose Contreras, the absolutely legendary starting pitcher, was here. The AL MVP from 2020, Jose Abreu, played here as well. We've seen Yoenis Cespedes and a whole array of players slightly below that level, the Aletnis Diaz's of the world. Still extremely talented. Yuli Gurriel with the Houston Astros is a long-time Hongball Week veteran. And then there's a couple of very talented Cubans that never made the jump. For instance, Frederick Cepeda, who is going to be coming up in the next half of the inning, in all likelihood. And as well as Ariel Pestano, Sr., the father, not the son, who is on this current team, who never made the jump. Is there anything you can tell us about why they did not make the jump over to pro ball in the United States, even though they were super successful in international baseball?
So I think that's a really, really good question. And I think one thing that Phil and I try and stay out of is politics.
Right.
And when we kind of talk about players who cross over and the reasons they do, it's often a debate between the native English speakers and the Hispanic speakers in Miami when it comes to debating the Cuban baseball team. You've obviously now got this new concept with the Free Cuba team that wants to play in the Classic. Ultimately, it's a player's personal decision in what they decide to do. I mean, what we are now seeing is, certainly last year in Mexico in the Under-23 tournament, is players leaving not to sign in baseball just for a betterment of life. Yeah. They're crossing the border into North America and just taking regular jobs and actually giving up baseball just to have a better life now.
Yeah. A lot of the Under-21, Under-18 players hop in early. Lloyd El Chapelli, I think, is a recent example, who I think he played at a Junior Youth World Championships recently and then decided to skip town and ended up signing with the Chicago White Sox.
Absolutely, and I think that's the challenge you're seeing in tournaments like this. Cuba just can't bring the quality of player they used to. They're not on the island. The most talented players they're now allowing to play in Japan or in Latin America to earn some money. So when you actually look at what is on the island playing in Serie Nacional that's just completed, the talent level when you watch it is most pitchers are throwing, as I said, 70 to 80 miles an hour. The biggest challenge they have then coming to Hongball Week in Harlem is seeing a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, because they've just never seen one.
Right. So I'm looking at these stats. I was recently able to finally open the Cuban baseball stat website, which is a disaster to maneuver around, but I noticed some incredibly high batting averages. Then I guess that kind of fits with your narrative that the pitching is just not there. So the hitting stats might be a tad inflated, you think?
Absolutely inflated. So you take someone like Cepeda, even at Cepeda's old age, that guy can still hit a fastball when he wants to. He's got that talent base. He's got the pop in the bat. So I think he batted over 400 in the last series. But you're absolutely right. Stats are inflated this year.
As we see a high fly out for Rodriguez for Team Curaçao, and that brings up Dudley Leonora, the veteran from St. Martin, actually playing for Curaçao. How about that? And currently active in Italy, playing for San Marino Baseball, and he used to be on the Dutch Kingdom team. So he's all over the place, is Dudley Leonora, one of the better hitters in this Curaçao team. It has definitely been turning heads at this tournament, playing very attractive baseball, having a good time, and looking sharp in the process, because this is the first game they play in their away uniforms that finally arrived yesterday. Several teams had some issues getting all their uniforms to Harlem. As Leonora goes, first pitch, hunting. He grounds it to second base. Benitez handles this one cleanly and throws him out. And that retires the side. And that will give Cuba a chance to come up. So it gives us a chance to talk, go batter to batter. I haven't given you at home the lineups yet, so I'm going to run through that real quick. For Curaçao, we just saw the first 5 batters. Sherman LaCruz, Reverend Herb, Seferina, Rodriguez, and Leonora. They will be followed eventually by Peter Nelak, Gregorius, Vidal, and Rachel Carolina, dropped in the lineup from 2nd to 9th. And for Cuba, we got Lionel Moa, Osvaldo Abreu, Alexander Ayala, Frederick Cepeda, Guillermo Avias, Dennis Laza, Carlos Benitez, Ivan Prieto, and Alex Gemer Sanchez. And a full bench for Cuba. Everyone is healthy and ready to go. Who would be out of this starting, let's say the starting 9 for Cuba, would be the player to watch outside of the, the Cepeda kind of big names?
One of the extra players they brought is Alexander Ayala. Ayala's a smart player. He's performed very well. Yesterday, what was interesting was in the very last inning, we actually got to see Pestano Jr. come up.
That's right.
And we have to remember that his father was the Press Award winner here in 2012, so it was almost full circle to see father and now son playing in the tournament. Very, very mixed reviews. He's played very little on the island over the last 3 to 4 years.
Why is that?
I think, great question. And again, there is no logic in Cuban baseball. Players
I'm starting to learn.
Yeah, players are often moved around teams. Villa Clara had a very strong catching base, so he was then moved to other teams. And then you're very much in the situation, does that coach like you or not?
Right.
We saw that with the Gurriel brothers and then the Mesa brothers, moving from Sanchez Spiritus and Matanzas down to Industrialis to try and give the Industrialis team a boost. Actually win the Serie Nacional at that point. And obviously everyone here knows Victor Mesa, and he's rather...
Victor Mesa?
Yeah. Mesa Senior in his very flamboyant ways of conducting himself.
He's been around Humboldt Week.
Yeah.
Very interesting man.
A very interesting man, a very savvy man, who, dare I say, very much when we talk about scouts, somehow got his eldest son scouted, signed for very good money. And you only have to look at his minor league stats and talk to people on the island, and we just hope he doesn't spend his money too quickly.
That is, that's definitely an astute observation. I think that's something that we've noticed too, the whole Mesa family ruling Cuban baseball for a while. Obviously, quite a few Cuban players have succeeded in the United States, as we've seen over the past couple of years. Multiple Cubans making the jump. We saw, I think that was Jose Contreras, El Duque. Was that when the floodgates more or less first opened?
Yeah, and then I would say Alexi Ramirez played in the 2005-2006 World Cup here, and then he went soon afterwards.
Cuban Missile.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then after that, players got more confidence, things were getting trickier on the island, greater access to the internet, dare we say, connected devices. Now... Everyone on the island has cell phones. They're very much watching MLB, and it's very much opening their eyes.
Right.
And it's tough on the island. It's very, very hard to live on that island. So people are leaving for the betterment. So the floodgates have really opened. But what we are seeing is a lot of talent is leaving the island that is substandard.
Yeah.
Not being picked up by the teams. So there's now international, signing caps in place. Moncada didn't play in this tournament. He played in the World Port Tournament. He signed for $32 million, with then $32 million penalty tax for
Boston, I think.
For Boston. Rusney Castillo played here in 2012. Rusney then signed for $70+ million.
A crazy amount of money, especially with how you look at the rest of his career now. Hasn't really taken off.
No, but I think that's where scouts got very excited for a while. I think they always thought that every single player coming off the island was going to be one of these studs. And now the biggest challenge for the scouts is the players are leaving before they come to tournaments like this.
Yeah.
We just heard that the under-23 tournament, the Federation had to hire the Mexican police to pretty much prevent players from leaving, and when 2 players left, miraculously they were brought back to the team hotel.
Miraculously, yeah. Aroldis Chapman defected as Abreu gets hit in the hand here.
Yeah, I mean, Chapman was interesting because he barely got to the hotel.
Yeah, he literally got off the plane, took the team bus to the hotel, and away he went.
Yeah, but what was really interesting there was he still had his passport. Normally the passport is taken off them as they get on the bus. But again, miraculously in that tournament, not naming names, but somehow he had his passport, which allowed him then to move on to Andorra and become a citizen of Andorra.
That's an interesting story. Especially if you see the hoops some other players have jumped through. We talked about Jose Fernandez yesterday in the broadcast, who tried to defect 3 times in a little dinghy boat.
Yeah, but to be fair to Jose, he's made a very smart decision, in my opinion. He realized that he wasn't MLB standard. He was going to bounce around. He's now doing very, very well in Korea.
No, I'm talking about Jose Fernandez, the pitcher who died in the Marlins pitcher.
Sorry, apologies.
Yeah, there's some overlap in the names.
Absolutely.
There's some overlap in the names.
Absolutely.
There's a story of Jose Abreu actually eating his fake passport on the plane. He got a fake passport, got on a plane to, I think, was it Miami?
Yes.
The Dominican. Either way, on the plane he went to the bathroom, ripped it up, and ate his fake passport so that no one could prove that it was fake.
Absolutely. What I've always found interesting is the players who are playing in international tournaments continually, why they leave when they're on the island and they don't leave when they are on the road. Because often it's far easier to leave when they're on the road because you don't need the speedboat.
That's right. As Ayala is stepping in. You mentioned Ayala. I've been talking about him. I really like what he's been doing this tournament so far. He's not the youngest anymore. As he pops one up high behind the backstop. Nope, won't come back in. And as you can tell from the crowd reaction, we have a great catch by a fan. Nice job there. Yeah, Ayala has really impressed me. He looks great defensively early on and has gotten a couple of important hits for Cuba. He's hitting .333 now, leading the team.
Absolutely, a very, very solid player, a veteran who very much deserves his place. Again, there was a lot of controversy around why aren't we bringing the players of Serie Nacional who's won. You know, it's their privilege, it's their benefit, it's what the federation announced. However, as we're seeing here, if you didn't bring the backup players, the last 2 nights we've had the backup players pitching who very much held their own. But you can't win games with 4 hits last night, 8 left on base, and 11 strikeouts in 7 innings. You're just never going to win those games.
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, for sure. These Cubans had a little protest earlier on in the tournament because they were upset at the organization for starting the opening lineups where we announce all the players with the players instead of with the coaching staff. I guess our speaker had the list upside down, so they initially first announced the players and then the coaches, and that upset them to a point that they refused to line up the following game and instead lined up in front of their dugout.
But again, I think that comes back to we live in a very much civilized establishment. Potentially there is a disrespect there towards the coaches because of that political regime that they've grown up within, and there's some of the nuances that Phil and I just don't really understand because, you know, we aren't native Cubans, we haven't lived on the island, we haven't grown up there, and I think that's one of the things that makes our kind of viewpoint on it slightly unique because we're bringing more of a westernized viewpoint whilst trying to understand and kind of have synergies to what's going on there on the island.
Exactly. That's interesting because you're, like you're mentioning, you worked for CubaDugout.com. Phil Seelig, who's Canadian, I believe.
Yeah, Phil's Canadian. He spends a lot of time over in Cuba, very much getting on the ground, interacting with the players.
And I've seen quite a few pictures of you meeting current big leaguers way back in the day. I saw a picture of you on Instagram with Yuli Gurriel. You've met quite a few Cuban superstars over the years.
Yeah, so over the years I've been very fortunate being here in Harlem. It's just been a really good opportunity to get up and close and interact, but I treat everyone as an equal, so I have no problems if I'm getting myself a McDonald's, I'll order one for them. And it's just been that kind of two-way street, interacting, helping people.
Right.
And you're very much remembered, and that's why I still interact with a lot of the major leaguers, see them in the off-season, and again, just have that kind of mutual respect. You know, everyone's an equal at the end of the day, irrespective of where you come from or what you do for a job.
As the Curaçao team tries to pick off the runner at first here, and that was a lot closer than I thought it would be. Almost caught him leaning there at first base.
And again, with the Cubans, it's almost exhibition play at times, and there it wouldn't have surprised me if they did actually get caught there, like that sloppy throw right at the top of the first.
As Ayala is having a very good at-bat, lengthy at-bat, fouls a bunch of pitches off, but finally whiffs, swinging through a way high fastball. Like that was almost over his head. And he knew it. And as I mentioned, we were going to see Frederick Cepeda. There he is.
Absolutely. I think Frederick's one of the 7 players they brought. Very much a thank you for his service. He decided never to leave for whatever reasons they are. But he was granted the opportunity to initially play in Japan, where he had very mixed results, but it certainly gave him a certain money. Absolutely. Who knows how much of that money he actually got to keep and how much was kept by the federation.
Yeah.
But he did also then play in Mexico and some other places as well.
Yeah, he signed for $1.5 million US.
Absolutely, but
the Yomiuri Giants, I believe, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At that point, he was
perfect. Yeah, as we're raving about Cepeda, he floats one the way he does. Pitch on the outside of the plate, floats it in the left field for a single. Please continue.
Absolutely, and I think, when Cepeda signed, it was right at the start where I think the federation were a lot more involved. But then even when we look at Yuli Gurriel, he played in Japan for 1 year, and then so the rumours go the federation signed his contract on his behalf in the second year when he didn't actually want to go.
Right.
He then kind of claimed injury. And again, there's a lot of kind of facts and myths and barefaced lies on the island because everyone's trying to get a little piece of the pie for themselves.
That is incredible. That is... that is a hanging slider. Yoinked foul here by Guillermo Avias, one of those players for Alazanes de Granma. Very good infielder. Hitting .222 on the tournament. He has an 0-1 count here in the bottom of the first. Not a very quick game, but that wasn't quite unexpected. As Avilas pops it high above shortstop. That's an easy catch for Seferina. And that ends the first inning. Guests to the booth for. I knew Mr. O was coming because he emailed me a couple of weeks ago. Said, "Hey, can I get in on a press pass?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." Within the European/Cuban baseball community, there's no one who knows more, as you could tell from the stories we got here in the first inning about the Cuban league, the Cuban players, the Cuban team. It's super interesting to listen to these stories and these insights from someone who's been following the Cuban League for a very long time, has basically been embedded in it through his contacts with players. And as he was telling us, he still has contacts with those players, as Piternella, who was betting 1,000 on the tournament, is no longer, because he chops one. First pitch, chopped it back to Leandro Martinez, and that ends his at bat. So we have Johannes Gregorius, who has received his correct headshot on the scoreboard, as well as his new jersey number, because he was playing with 36, but he switched to 30 now that the away uniforms have arrived for Curaçao. And the rest of their jerseys, I think, have also made their way to Haarlem, as Martinez winds up and fires a strike at 83 miles an hour. The veteran, 44 years old, on the mound today for Cuba. That's a breaking pitch at 74 miles an hour at the top of the zone for a ball. It's 1-1, one away here. Both teams have one hit. Cuba has one error. as Benitez threw one away in the top of the first. Gregorius swings right through that pitch. Veteran Gregorius hitting 750 on the tournament currently. From Willemstad, Curaçao, and he lines one over the head of a jumping shortstop. There you go. That's a nice little hit by Gregorius, who is headed to second and gets in there safely. That's the kind of hit that can never be a double, but against Cuba, it can be. That is some hustle by Johannes Gregorius. And as you can hear, Jason, my colleague announcer who is doing the PA announcing in the stadium today. Next one up is Steven Vidal. Vidal, the catcher. Behind the plate for Curaçao so far this tournament. As more Cuban fans make their way into their seats here. First pitch strike here against Vidal. He was one of the several Royal Scorpions on the Curaçao team today. As Martinez winds and delivers, that's 82 miles an hour on the black for a strike. So Vidal in a hole quickly, 0-2. Rocking the high socks is Vidal. Classic baseball look. You love to see it, as is Martinez, by the way. Then again, when Martinez started playing baseball, that was probably still a very common look since he's very old for a baseball player, with all due respect, obviously. We respect our elders here in the broadcast. 1-2 count here on Vidal, who has a chance here to put Curaçao ahead early. Base hit scores a runner from second in all likelihood and puts Curaçao on the board, but it's going to have to wait at least one more pitch, as that's a ball for 2-2. As Vidal swings and misses right through that pitch by Martinez and can head back to the dugout. So it's up to Twins Oosterhout outfielder Rachelon Carolina. Excellent ball player here in the Dutch Hoofdklasse. If he continues his ascent up the rankings, the statistical rankings, we're probably going to see him play for one of the top teams in the league shortly. Some lefty on lefty crimes here as Martinez throws a strike. Carolina hitting 300 on the tournament so far. It's been very important for Curaçao, yet was dropped to the 9 hole in the order today, which would be something to monitor and maybe ask manager Haley Stasia after the game why he would drop one of his hotter hitters that far in the lineup. Game 2 of 3 today is where you're at. You're watching Hongball Week Haarlem, Curaçao against Cuba. First game today was between Team Italy, as we're awaiting this pitch for a ball. Waiting for the delayed call, it's not going to come. First ball game of the day was Team Italy losing 9-0 to Japan. Second 9-0 loss in 2 days for Italy, 3 days for Italy, who also got beaten by the United States on Sunday, 9-0. As Carolina lets that one go by and shakes his head, and he is right. That was a ball. Our third game today will be Kingdom of the Netherlands against Team USA. Very much anticipated ball game, in which we will see some mix-ups in the Dutch coaching staff, as former minor league catcher and former technical director of the Dutch Federation, Tjerk Smeets, will be helming the team, as Rachel and Carolina not too enthused with that delayed call from the home plate umpire here. Our umpires tonight: Marek Vikar behind the plate, John Beltman at first base, Edwin Louisa at second, Nick Elsof at third. That means we'll have Chief Crew Roy van der Wateringen's crew tonight for the USA-Netherlands game. As Carolina wants time, is not granted, and instead he just singles it to right field, and they're going to wave home the runner. And he's going to be safe at the plate. So Curaçao takes a 1-0 lead here on a RBI base hit, and I guess the move by manager Hanley Stasha, moving Rachel and Carolina to the 9-hole, works out here as he cashes in from the bottom spot in the lineup. Curaçao 1-0. That was impressive because Carolina had his hand off the bat to ask for time. Wasn't granted time, put his hand back on the bat and swung that pitch right through the infield into right field for a RBI single. And we can fully expect here to keep an eye on him, and maybe, as the Cubans also realize they need to keep an eye on Rachel Carolina, he might try to steal second base. You never know. Speedy runner, very speedy runner. As Martinez with a very good move. So Carolina not risking anything, leaning back towards first base, even though Martinez was going home. It's really hard to pick up the pickoff move from Leandro Martinez. Sherman LaCruz has dug in. He's got an 0-1 count, and Martinez attempts yet another pickoff and is unsuccessful. And there he goes, and he is safe at second base. I'm trying to hold off on the call until the feed catches up for you, but as you can tell from the applause in the background, you probably already know what happened. But as expected, Carolina, always a threat to run, steals second base here. And that gives Sherman LaCruz a chance to drive in another run, as Carolina put himself in scoring position. So as I was saying before, some mix-ups in the Dutch coaching staff for later today. As Tjerk Smeets, as Edwin Louisa, by the way, I can't finish my story for some reason. Edwin Louisa wants to talk to Leandro Martinez. He's got a bracelet on or something like that, and Louisa wants him to take it off. He's like, yeah, I'll put it in my pocket. It's not like I'm not 44 years old and I can pitch with a bracelet on, but you're not allowed to. So Edwin Louisa asking him to remove the bracelets. And we're back in action. So yeah, once again, I'm just gonna keep trying to get this through. As Martinez fires, and that ball is chopped foul by LaCruz. Tonight, third base coach for the Dutch team will be Wim Martinez. First base coach will be Michael Duursma. And interim manager will be Tjerk Smeets. And without giving you any other details, I'm sure you can figure out why teams need to move some things around these days. Who will return tonight is Vladimir Valentin. As I'm getting word from my executive director behind me that the sound may actually be delayed now. So I'm just gonna talk, and we'll see where we land. As Martinez has a 1-2 count on Sherman LaCruz. He winds, fires. And that ball is chopped to third base, fielded cleanly, and a strong throw across the diamond. Right there, that was an impressive play. Osvaldo Abreu, excellent defensive player, has made some tremendous plays already this tournament, and he does so again here with a strong throw, throws out the runner, Sherman LaCruz. So LaCruz goes 6-3, and that ends the inning. 1 run for Curaçao, so they have taken the lead, and we'll be looking to add more, but first they're going to have to shut the Cubans down for this upcoming half of the inning. As the stadium has filled up nicely, especially the inner box has really filled up. Looking at all these hats that are everywhere, it's just VIP box is also a lot of activity there today. We have a new thing here at Baseball Week this year. We have the normal VIP boxes, which is something that if you have a company and you own a business, or you just want to have a company outing, you can rent the VIP box for a day or a part of your day. We also have a sports bar this year, which is brand new. It's basically like it's what the name says. It's a sports bar. You can go there, you can buy tickets, a little more expensive than a regular ticket, but you get a couple drinks for that, you get some snacks. You can just chill out in the sports bar and watch some baseball. So if you're ever in the neighborhood for Humble Week, every 2 years, every even year, you're more than welcome to swing by, buy a ticket to the sports bar, and just hang out, drink a beer, and watch some baseball with us. Come say hi. As we're back underway here in the bottom of the second, excuse me. Dennis Laza, batting 500 in the tournament, is batting right now. He's facing Jordan Lucas, the starting pitcher for Curaçao. I haven't even mentioned the fact that he is starting, as he gives up a high fly ball to left field. It should be an easy catch, and it is. One away for the Cubans here in the bottom of the second. If you're just tuning in, let me welcome you to the ballpark. You're watching Humble Week Haarlem. My name is Jasper Roos. I'll be announcing your ball game today. We had Gawain Owen as a guest on in the first inning with some incredible insights into Cuban baseball. Gawain Owen, one of the prominent Cuban baseball specialists in Europe, who was kind enough to hop into the booth with me and have a conversation. We're hopeful he'll be able to return. He had to take care of his daughter for a second, who was hungry, needed to use the bathroom. You know how it goes. As Benitez grounds one to short, handled cleanly, and Benitez is retired. That's a very quick 2 outs here for Jordan Lucas. So that brings up Ivan Prieto to the plate. Yeah, very lucky to have so many people here at the ballpark who know so much about something in baseball. I had Milan van der Breggen do a large part of the broadcast earlier today, the noon game between Italy and Japan, mostly because I was called away on meetings several times. But he was doing such a great job giving us insights into pitching. Milan himself, a college pitcher in the United States, willing to hop on the broadcast and share some of his insights on these teams that are playing in Humble Week. And the same goes for all the other guests I've had on the broadcast, like Mr. Owen from earlier. We had Cameron Harris of Team USA on for an inning on Sunday in their 9-0 victory over Italy, giving us some insights into Team USA and the history of the team and the players that were once part of the organization Team USA and are now successful in the majors. And of course, on top of them, I have my usual rotating duo of co-hosts, Sean Houston, who will be joining me in the booth tonight at 7:30, and Jason Houtkamp, who broadcast the game with me yesterday. As that pitch, the entirety of Curaçao wanted that pitch, but it was called a ball by Marek Fikar, the Czech umpire. Behind home plate, we have two umpire crews here at the stadium at the tournament. As Prieto grounds one to short. Handled cleanly there by Seferina. Thrown out. Quick, easy inning for Jordan Lucas. Not in trouble at all here. So yeah, we have two umpire crews here. Both have one foreign guest umpire. Marek Fikar being one of them in this crew, the home plate umpire from the Czech Republic. And then we have Marco Taurelli from Italy on crew chief Roy van der Wateringen's crew, who will be doing tonight's game. It's always good to work together with other countries within Europe when it comes to baseball. You want to expand, you want to tighten the bonds, you want to make sure this is the sport in Europe for the near future. It's going to be hard to overtake the other popular sports such as soccer and tennis, whichever other sports are popular within Europe. Baseball should be up there, especially with the history of especially Italian baseball, Dutch baseball, and the up-and-comers in the Czech Republic, Germany, Great Britain, a lot of MLB connections. Of course, MLB in London 2019, and we'll see another MLB London next year. Anything we can do to make this sport more popular, because it is, after all, the most beautiful game in the world. As Rewendly van Gerp strolls to the plate. And he will try to add some more runs for Curaçao, who are currently in the lead 1-0. Welcome to Haarlem. As you hear, Rewendly van Gerp right there. Being announced by Robert Sant, our other PA announcer this afternoon. I have no concept of time anymore after calling about a dozen baseball games in 5 days. Because this is day 5 of Handball Week, which means we have a bunch more to go. As Van Gerp grounds one to short. And he is retired at first base. That brings up Seferina, who's hitting .364 in the tournament, one of the better Curaçao hitters. Excellent defender as well. Whereas the white shin protector blends in nicely with the gray pants. A lot of good pitching here at Baseball Week so far, as Martinez fires and delivers an 81-mile-an-hour fastball. That's fouled away. And I'm going to do some housekeeping by catching up with my scorecard, which I've really been trying to keep track, but it's being solo booth is interesting. You have to always juggle looking at the lineup card, looking up some stats, some information, and keeping track of the ball game, obviously. Trying to implement a trick in my scorecard that I saw my co-announcer Sean Houston do. Longtime minor league broadcaster, 6.5 seasons in the minor leagues as a play-by-play announcer. You pick up some tricks from people like that. If you've called so many games. So he had a trick on his scorecard to make sure he doesn't screw it up. As everyone who's ever scored a game on a scorecard knows, sometimes you just screw up, you get to the wrong column, and then it ruins your entire scorecard. So I'm going to see what I can do as Rodriguez, correct, check that. Seferina flies out to right field. Brings up Rodriguez. Alexander Rodriguez, who plays for the Willemstad Wildcats in the Curaçao League. Curaçao, very Very beautiful island. Highly recommend going there if you ever have a chance, wherever you are. As Martinez fires that pitch in for a strike. Even though our scoreboard currently lists as a ball, hopefully they're going to fix that. As Rodriguez flies one into left field. Lazy fly out, easy catch in left. So Dennis Laza, with his squeezing of that ball, ends the inning. Curaçao still ahead, 1-0 to Cuba. Don't let these gray clouds in the video footage that you're seeing right now fool you. It is hot at the ballpark. Very humid, very sweaty. I'm regretting my choice to wear jeans today. No air conditioning. We're in an open air press box. As we got some highlights for you from earlier. Beautiful plays by Dudley Leonora in Curaçao's game against Italy. Yeah, that was a well played ball game and a diving catch right there. We just caught it on camera. Some beautiful defense played by Team Curaçao in their game against Italy. As we're headed to the top of the third, Alex Quimera Sanchez is the next man up. And he takes a strike for quickly falling behind in the count, as again our scoreboard is off, but as that one gets away from the catcher for a ball. Sanchez pops it up in foul ground, but out of reach of any and all players trying to converge on the area where that ball would come down. So a new lease on life for Alex Quimera Sanchez. If you feel like hanging out virtually, by all means, twitter.com/hongballweek. You can tweet at us if you want to get some questions in, as that ball is high and tight to Sanchez, who gets out of the way in time. Yeah, if at any point you feel like dropping a question or have an interesting trivia fact that you would like to read us, or you would like us to read, I should say, Sanchez pops it up high above me, and it will land out of play. And another nice catch by Fan. So yeah, twitter.com/hongballweek. You can also go to facebook.com/hongballweek and find the game threat. Leave your remarks in the comments. We try to read them a couple times a game, so Sanchez foul tips it back to the screen. For those of you just tuning in, if you see a white strike zone box on your screen, that is correct. We are trying to experiment a little bit today with a white strike zone box. Take it with a grain of salt, as that ball is fouled back to the screen right in front of us. This is not a scientific strike zone at all. This is just to give you a general idea of where the plate is. We think it's pretty nicely in the right spot, but do not hold it against the umpires if you think it's outside of our white box, as Sanchez pops it up high above Vidal. He drops it. That will hurt. So yeah, once again, if you see the strike zone, use it as an indicator, but not as the law. In Major League Baseball, there's 5 or 6 cameras all pointing at home plate, and they create a 3D model of the strike zone. It may look like a box, but it's actually a 3D model to help figure out whether pitches are strikes or balls. We don't have that technology. We just draw a rectangle on the screen, put it on your screen to give you an idea of where home plate is, because our center field camera is in an off angle as Sanchez strikes out swinging. We try to improve every day. We try to add new things in the stream every day. And ooh, we got a radar gun. We've gotten some complaints here at the ballpark that we don't have a radar gun speed reading at the scoreboard, and that's correct. Our radar gun broke 2 days before the tournament. We weren't able to get a new one in time, but I just see our tournament director, Leon Ravenstein, walk up into the press box with Jurgen Balk, who also sent in some questions and facts yesterday on social media. And they are in charge of our radar gun. And I see Leon hold one, actually. So this ought to be good. We might get actual speed readings. The ones that we've been reading out to you have been the ones from the speed gun right in front of me. So I can tell you that that pitch was 75 miles an hour. Courtesy of Jacob of Synergy Sports, who was nice enough to mount his radar gun up on a tripod to give us full view of the speeds, the pitch speeds. That too is baseball week. We share everything here. You can see people bring in their coolers with food and drinks, and if you happen to sit next to a family that has a lot of food, if you want a sandwich, they're more than likely to offer you one. In the same way that Jacob has lined up our speed gun for us. That last pitch was 75 miles an hour. As leadoff hitter Moa pops it up high into left field. Carolina calls off the shortstop Seferina, and that is the second out of the inning. And that brings up Osvaldo Abreu, one of the better hitters on the team, finished in the top, I believe, 20 in the Cuban League in hitting, maybe even top 10. I'm saying from the top of my head. As that is a looping, that is the slowest pitch of the tournament, ladies and gentlemen. That was 59 miles an hour. That was a 59 mile an hour breaking pitch, followed up by a 74 mile an hour fastball, and Abreu has no issue with that. Might not have been a fastball. 74 seems slow. Then again, if you're throwing 59 mile an hour loopers up there as well, you never know. So base hit to center field for Osvaldo Abreu. As Jacob in front of me just tells me that I missed one because he threw a 54 mile an hour one in the first inning. That's an interesting strategy. Excuse me, I had to quickly answer a question from our Tokyo TV crew. We're looking at Alexander Ayala in the box, batting 300 in the tournament. He's got a 1-ball, no strike count, as that is 56 miles an hour. This is getting very interesting as Ayala flies out to left field for the third out of the inning. Curaçao still in the lead, 1-0. And apparently the slow looping curves are a thing that work right now. As we are heading to the fourth, Dudley Leonora is the man who will be charged with getting a Curaçao rally going against still 44-year-old Leandro Martinez. Who, aside from giving up 3 base hits and 1 run, has been pitching very well, especially for a 44-year-old. As he lines up and fires, that's 81 miles an hour and low. When you walk onto the stands here at Haarlem, you walk up the stairs and you reach the first ring here where I sit. There's a gigantic sign on the fence that says no standing here. The amount of people that do stand there is wild. Like literally leaning up against the sign that says no standing here. You gotta love it. Literally can't miss it. When you walk up the stairs, the first thing you see before you see the field is this giant sign. Yet here we are. We need to put a security guard right next to it to tell people not to stand there. In the same vein, we have to tell people every day you can't smoke at the ballpark. Human nature. As Peter Nella checks his swing. And he does, according to first base umpire John Beltman. Answering yet another question. That's the downside of doing multiple things at this tournament. I can't do play-by-play. I need to talk to people as well sometimes. Thank you so much. I'm getting some water. Very nice. As Pitonella has another single, by the way. He's at first base, giving a chance to Johannes Gregorius to extend his rally. As that pitch is high for a ball. It's 2 balls, no strikes to Gregorius, who wears number 30. After switching from 36 just this morning. some iconic major leaguers who wore number 30 are people like Ken Griffey Jr. and Nolan Ryan. As Gregorius, who's already hitting 800 in the tournament, smacks the ball into center field. And because it's bobbled just briefly by Lionel Moa in center field, Pieternella moves on to third base.
So
we're going to score that in E8 for the way Pieternella reached third base. Now Gregorius has a single. And now it's up to Steven Vidal to drive in Pieternella for third. Vidal batting 125 on the year, on the tournament, I should say. As Martinez fires. It's a swinging strike after a foul tip. Other famous number 30s in sports. Steph Curry, to wrap that little nugget up, the basketball player. The downside of a solo booth, I just got a phone call I had to answer. I'm just giving you a play-by-play of the game and my life. As Vidal has a 1-2 count here with one away in the top of the fourth. Curaçao looking to add to their 1-0 lead as Vidal chops it. And it's foul picked up by the Cuban catcher Prieto. Exchanged that ball for a new one. Tosses it back to Leandro Martinez, and we're going to do it all over again. Rachel and Carolina in the next circle for Curaçao as Vidal hacks through it. He's unhappy and slams his bat, and from the sound of it, that might have cracked, so he might have to go find a new one. Vidal not having a good tournament, not happy. This guy is having a good tournament, despite a very crucial error in an earlier game in the tournament. Rachel and Carolina from Twins Oosterhout. He's one of those guys who can literally break open a game at any time. He's batting .364 for Hongo Week, and he's got no room to play with because there's two away here in the top of the fourth. Runners on the corners. Pieternella and Gregorius. His first pitch strike to Carolina, who again not too enthused with that call. Carolina smacks it, and it's foul into the right field corner. That was very close. Trust me, that was a hair. Foul by a hair. Carolina, one of those guys who can, like I said, at any point in time come through and do some damage. I don't know what's taking him so long to get back to home plate. As Prieto is waiting for him, bat in hand. There he is. Carolina gathering his thoughts because he's got an 0-2 count against him, so he needs to figure out now how to put the ball in play to a point that he can score a run. As Martinez, the veteran, comes set, and there goes the runner. Oh, they got him. Fantastic play. That is a spectacular play by Ivan Prieto, who fakes the throw to second and picks off the runner at third, who took a big secondary lead, potentially trying to score. That is such a smart play. That's why catchers are the eyes and ears of a team on the field. They saw the runner go, he fakes the throw to second, and in one motion throws the runner out at third. No idea how I'm going to score that. So Peter Nella pick off 2 to 5. Yeah, 2 to 5. And that will bring up Carolina again in the next inning. Not necessarily a bad thing for Curaçao to have Carolina lead off the inning. But I'm sure they would have liked him to drive in the run from third. Bottom of the fourth coming up. We will start with Frederick Cepeda, who's 1 for 1 on the game today so far. Followed by Aviles and Dennis Laza. Both of them have been retired in their first at bat. Lucas, the pitcher for Curaçao, has been very good so far, throwing 54-mile-an-hour wiffle balls up there without any issue. He's only given up 2 base hits and hit a batter. Everything else has been easy outs, lazy fly outs. Or ground outs to shortstop. Let's see what he can do here in the fourth inning against Cepeda, Aviles, and Laza. The 3 batters due up. Frederick Cepeda, the first man up for Cuba, and he's going to wait for the pitch, and there it is. At 66 miles an hour. You can't throw those wiffle balls up to Cepeda. You can't fool that man. That's a base hit into center field for Frederick Cepeda, who is now 2 for 2 today. Adjusted to life in Haarlem and is now ready to rake. Guillermo Aviles, the next man up. He will be tasked with at least moving Cepeda into scoring position, at the very least. And not strike out. As Aviles hits a first pitch, 73-mile-an-hour pitch into center field. And it's almost as if Lucas is realizing, listen, I can either throw my actual fast stuff, or I can just start throwing anything between 54 and 75. And I can mostly keep the Cubans off the bases anyway. Aviles is now 0 for 2, and it brings up Dennis Laza, who flew out to left field in his first at bat. He'll be looking for the 54-mile-an-hour wiffle balls. So let's see what Lucas has in his back pocket. That's 73 for a strike. If that is his fastball speed, then I'm impressed he's gotten this far. You got to imagine that, especially after what Gawain Owen told us earlier in the game, there's no real speed in the pitching arms on Cuba. They're used to slow pitches, as that was again at 73. Laza rolls over it and grounds into a 6-4-3 double play to end the inning. So whatever Lucas is doing, it's really working. It's not spectacular to look at, but it is very interesting to look at for sure. It is a strategy. Well played. every day our video crew puts together a highlight package for you to watch. You can check them out on twitter.com/handballweek, facebook.com/handballweek, instagram.com/handballweek. We post content every day during the tournament, multiple times a day. Interviews with players, managers, daily recap videos, anything you want. We have a magazine. It's in Dutch though, so that's not going to do you a lot of good if you don't speak or read Dutch. As we're back underway with Leandro Martinez facing Rachel and Carolina as if nothing changed from an inning ago. Strike one to Carolina. And quick strike too. Carolina not ready to swing the bat just yet. Let's to see what Martinez has. And that's a ground ball to Ayala at short. Very quick transfer to the throwing hand, and he throws him out at first base. Excellent play by Ayala. So Carolina now a 1 for 2 on the day. So Sherman Lacruz heading to the plate for the 3rd time already in this ball game. It's the top of the 5th. You're watching Handball Week Haarlem. Cuba facing Curaçao. I'm Jos Peroz. I'll be your announcer today with you for the next couple of innings, as is executive director Jeroen Groenemans behind me, behind the buttons, transferring camera angles and putting graphics on screen. All the goodies you see, that's all Jeroen. As there's a strike to Lacruz. Martinez definitely picking up the pace. That's low and inside, and he didn't realize his catcher already threw the ball back. Prieto saying, sorry, did not mean to hit you in the head. As Martinez winds and delivers inside for a ball. That's an interesting pitch. Lacruz was like, wait, what? 82 miles an hour, by the way. And you could instantly see Marek Vikar's head snap towards the Curaçao dugout, so apparently they yelled some stuff after that strike call, as it's a full count now to Sherman Lacruz, who would really like to get on base again. And he will, as that is low and away. So Lacruz walks. He walks the line, as you can hear our stadium DJ play. Second time he's reached base. First time was in the first inning on an error by Carlos Benitez. He grounded out 6-3, and now he's walked. So Rewendy van Gerp will be tasked with moving him over. Van Gerp 1 for 2 so far today. Hit a single to left. Grounded out 6-3. It's impressive that the 44-year-old Martinez is still on the bump. He doesn't throw very fast. It's not a very high intensity windup, but still, like, you're pitching in an international ball game. Nothing to sneeze at. He's thrown 72 pitches so far, 48 strikes, 24 balls. So he's attacking the zone for sure. He's not afraid to challenge these Curaçao hitters. As they pitch out, dude, Cubans, to no avail. There's no action going. Jordan Lucas for Curaçao has thrown only 52 pitches. That's 20 fewer than Martinez has, so he's been much more effective. Cubans have been swinging earlier in the count much more as well. Curaçao are, at this point, milking the counts just a little bit longer. Fouling pitches off. Getting deeper into counts. that is a ground ball to second base. Benitez to Ayala. And Aviles is the end of the line for that double play. 4-6-3, and that retires the side. Curaçao once again, after getting someone on with less than 2 outs, cannot capitalize, cannot score any more runs. They're leading 1-0. But they've definitely left some men on today. As we're building up the speed gun, so I guess we're really going to get a speed gun in one way, shape, or form. As I was asked if I had any problem with them putting the speed gun right next to me, I said no. That brings up Carlos Benitez here for Cuba. He of the error early on in the game. As he looks at a strike, 75 miles an hour. 128. No. So they're setting up the radar gun right next to me. Jurgen Balk is. And this is 57. How about that? And it doesn't even register. So we had a 75 mile an hour fastball earlier that, according to this speed gun, was 128 miles an hour. So that is not a totally reliable speed gun. As there's a 55 mile an hour pitch from Lucas that is grounded by Dudley Leonora, who gave it a diving effort at third base. And they almost get him at first. That's crazy. Nicely done by Benitez. We're going to score out a base hit to left, as Prieto, the catcher, is now up. I'm trying to keep an eye on this speed gun right next to me. A sports radar gun. So it's a 72 mile an hour pitch, grounded to second, to first for a double play. Benitez gave up on it 2 steps in. He's like, nah, I'm not going to be running that out. So that brings up Alex Quimera Sanchez. As again, we have people leaning up against the no standing here sign. Just chilling, not realizing that they're doing something that is not allowed here at the ballpark. As Sanchez skies that high above first base, where it is easily put away by Rodriguez. So you may have noticed that Dudley Leonora is playing third base for Curaçao today, whereas he had played exclusively at first throughout the tournament so far. Dudley Leonora is a natural shortstop. That might be something you'd be interested to hear. Played for the Dutch Kingdom team for a while that saw basically the entire infield and one outfielder, I believe, consist of natural shortstops. as that was a team that included Stijn van der Meer, currently a third baseman for Curaçao Neptunus in the Hoofdklasse in the Netherlands. Who was a natural shortstop playing third. It involved Nick Urbanus, who's a natural shortstop playing second base. Dwayne Kemp, also involved in that. He's a second baseman, also definitely capable of playing short. De Leonora, natural shortstop, who basically moved to first base, plays some third now as well. So a lot of athletic players on that Kingdom team who were able to play multiple positions because of the fact that they were natural shortstops, and that is one of the more difficult positions to play, or at least the more active positions to play in baseball. So definitely something to keep an eye on with Dudley Leonora. So we're headed to the sixth. Darren Seferina is the man who's up next. As Martinez fires to home, and Seferina chops the first pitch to first base. Martinez will be happy to see that. That's going to lower his pitch count, or at least keep it in check. That brings up the first baseman, Alexander Rodriguez, who's 0 for 2, 2 flyouts to left field. So despite the fact that he's a lefty hitter and we don't see a very fast pitcher on the mound, he's not been able to get the head of the bat out and around the baseball to pull it into right field. Rodriguez, of course, one of those strong power hitters, batting cleanup today. Still hitless for the tournament, so he would be very happy to get his first hit here, as that 73-mile-an-hour pitch. Is a ball, and pitch number 2 is a strike. So we are at 1-1 here for Rodriguez. As Martinez really picked up the pace here. He's just getting the ball, get set, get ready, and throw. As finally Rodriguez able to pull the ball, but he will ground out as the first baseman for the Cubans, Guillermo Aviles, was able to keep that in front of him despite the fact he didn't field it cleanly. He flips it to his pitcher for the out. So we'll score that 3-1 for Rodriguez, and that brings up Dudley Leonora, as mentioned before, natural shortstop originally, moved around quite a bit, now mostly a corner infielder, with first base being his primary position. He's also listed as an outfielder, so he still does play some outfield as well. As he goes chasing on the first pitch and just a bit ahead of it, lines out weakly to the shortstop. That's a very quick inning for Martinez. He'll be happy with that, as that keeps his pitch count in check. So Leandro Martinez at 80 pitches. He was at 72 an inning ago, so that only took 8 pitches to get through like an inning plus. Nicely done there by Martinez, getting the Curaçao players to chase early. You'd think that the Curaçao players, after drawing out their at-bats quite a bit, would be a little bit more selective, but they weren't able to poke through earlier. So maybe they changed their approach, started attacking Martinez just a little bit more. Martinez with the full name, Leandro Francisco Martinez Figueiredo. Beautiful bunch of names. Cuba has the top of their lineup due up here in the bottom of the 6th. We got Lionel Moa, Osvaldo Abreu, and Alexander Ayala, the scheduled 3 hitters. Here's Moa walking up to the beat of a Spanish language song. Few teams have handed in some preferred walk-up songs. Be interested to hear if that was one of them. As Lucas once again, 56. 128. We're still trying to get this this radar gun calibrated. It's not really working. 125, and that was a 73 mile an hour pitch. So there was a 20 mile an hour difference, and there was not quite sure how we're going to get this radar gun calibrated. Does it need to be closer to defense, perhaps? Probably, yeah. We're halfway up the 2nd ring here in the press box in Haarlem as Lucas fires, and that's hit to short. Nice play by Seferina, picked up. Thrown to first, and Moa will be retired. That brings up Osvaldo Abreu. Getting closer, 68. Is it going to beep every time, though? The beeping you may hear in the background is the calibrating of the new radar gun, which basically responds to anything that moves, Jurgen just said. So anytime a fly passes in front of the radar gun, you hear a beep. Beep. As that was 53. Jacob, is that a new low? Might be. I don't know what this is. I've sneezed harder than Lucas is throwing right now. 2-2 to Abreu. I mean, as long as it works, right? As long as it works. As that ball is chopped to third, handled by Leonora with a strong throw to first. Retires Osvaldo Abreu. We scored at 5-3. Another quick out for Lucas here.
Alexander Ayala.
That brings Alexander Ayala to the plate. Ayala skies it into foul ground. We got multiple players converging. Rodriguez is the closest one, but he can't get to it. So Ayala's lease on life is extended by at least 1 pitch as the count is 0-2. Ayala hitting 273. He's ready to get this this at bat going. 0-2, 2 away here. Bottom of the 6th inning. 79. Suddenly increased pitch speeds here for Lucas after throwing 53, 54, 55. Suddenly pulls out all the stops here. As that 76-mile-an-hour pitch is grounded to Darren Seferina at short, and he throws out Ayala for the third out of the inning. That's a clean inning again for Lucas, who has had several very good innings. The second inning retired all 3 batters in order. He does the same right here. He's given up 1 hit in every other inning, but that's all it was, 1 hit. Well, you're not going to score runs if you only get 1 base hit off of a pitcher who's throwing a lot of strikes. So we're heading to the 7th. As I may have to instruct Nick to get going and build our little interview booth down below. I don't know if you've been able to see any of the interviews, but they're on our Facebook page and some of them on our Twitter. We tend to try to interview, after every game, the manager and the player of the game, manager of the winning team and the player of the game. Not always successfully. They don't always have time. We don't always have time.
En dan gaan we voor het eerste deel van de 7e inning. Aanslag rechtsvelder. Opwing Pieter Nella.
Baldwin Pieternella, 667 on tournament. He didn't start the first game for Curaçao, but has been seeing more and more action as the week progresses. He swings right through that pitch by Martinez, as it is now a 1-2 count, I believe. Well, maybe not. Maybe our score bug is still a little bugged. I was looking away for a second, instructing people to go do some stuff I need to get done. So an 0-2 count apparently now. Yep, that is correct. The beeping you hear hopefully will be resolved shortly, because I can imagine that is quite annoying to listen to. I rewatched last night's broadcast of the USA-Cuba game, noticing how, as much fun as it is in the stadium to have some fans bring some drums or some stuff to make noise with, it does distract a little bit during the broadcast, hearing 7 innings of noise, drumming, gave me Vuvuzela flashbacks. As Pieternella grounds it foul down the third baseline. Martinez, that's a great breaking ball. Strikes out. Pieternella on a slider that just dives back into the strike zone after starting off way outside. Very nice pitch. And that brings Johannes Gregorius to the plate. First pitch strike, according to home plate umpire Marek Vikar. As Gregorius fouls the next pitch off of his foot. That cannot have felt good. Gregorius walks it off, gets back in the box, ready to go. 0-2 with Martinez a chance here to get another quick 2 outs. Instead, Gregorius lines it into right, but that, yes, it's caught. So still a quick second out here for Martinez, who might see 2 complete games here for both pitchers. As Leandro Martinez currently at 87 pitches in the game. His counterpart Jordan Lucas for Curaçao at 69. 49 strikes. 59 of Martinez's pitches. Of his 87 pitches thrown were strikes. As that first pitch to Vidal is ruled a strike as well by Marek Vicar. As Vidal lines it up the middle, and he's got a base hit. That is a single up the middle for Vidal, who struck out in his previous 2 at-bats, so this must feel good to end the game on a high. Assuming the game ends, obviously. We still have half an inning of play to go after this one. As Henley Stasia, the Curaçao manager, comes out of the dugout. There might be a pinch runner coming in the game. Yes, there is indeed. Vidal is being replaced. It's Shirendel Mujica coming in to pinch run. So the speedy runner Mujica in at first in place of Vidal. That means that there will be a new catcher in the bottom of the 7th. In all likelihood, Ulrich Snijders. As that's strike number 1 to Rechelon Carolina. Once again coming up in a big spot. He has a tendency to do that. Saw it multiple times during games earlier in the tournament. Again, a solid chance for Rechelon Carolina to do some damage here as he swings right through that pitch. That's 0-2. Carolina waiting for the pitch from Martinez. That was pitch 91, by the way. 92, excuse me, 92. Martinez lifts his leg, fires, and that's grounded to short by Rechelon Carolina. Flipped to second for the force out. That ends the inning, or at least the half inning. We're going to the bottom of the 7th, the final chance for the Cuban team to tie or win this game. As Henley Stasia indeed comes out of the Curaçao dugout again to talk with Marek Vicar and explain all the changes, because there will be changes. I am assuming Shirendel Mujica will not be doing the catching. That is indeed, from the looks of it, Ulrich Snijders.
Zoals Stel al ziet, nu moet het gaan gebeuren voor Cuba. En ze beginnen met aangewezen slagman, Frederik Severa.
Apparently the PA announcer is not announcing the substitutions, so we'll have to wait and see if my inkling was right that we have Mujica somewhere on the field. But at least we have Ulrich Snijders behind the plate. As Frederick Cepeda grounds it to short. That's Darren Seyfarina making the play. Solid throw, and Cepeda retired. For the first time today, he was 2 for 2 coming into the at-bat. 2 singles, 1 to left, 1 to center field. But Cepeda now retired, 6-3. That brings up Guillermo Aviles, who looks at strike one. Not a huge fan of that call, apparently. Wiggles his head as if to say, I don't know about that one, ump. As Lucas winds and fires, as that is drilled high in the air into right field. That is very far. One hand to the wall. And it's caught by Pieternella. That might be Mujica. I just want to make sure that I can't tell because it's too far away. Either way, it's a fly out to right field. There we go. I'm getting the update on all the positional changes from Sander Grossman, mentioned before in the broadcast. He's always at the ready to provide us with some info if we need it. As that ball is drilled into left but foul. Leonora doesn't even look back. He said, yep, I knew it. That's funny. Snijders indeed doing the catching. Michel is in right field, and Mujica and Pieternella are both taken out of the ball game for Curaçao. So that's Michel in place of Pieternella, and Mujica out of the game in favor of Snijders, as I had a hunch. Snijders, I should say. There we go. Got you all caught up, as there's still 2 away, and the count to Dennis Laza is 2 balls and a strike. Cuba down to their final out in their attempt to beat Curaçao, who have been fantastic so far this tournament and are on the verge of taking yet another win. That's a good pitch. Full count to Dennis Laza. Now, if Curaçao indeed eke it out, they will be 2-2 for the tournament at 500 winning percentage. In the thick of it, because the only team undefeated is Japan, as Lucas winds and fires, and that's fouled away, out of play. And Cuba will, if this score holds, drop to 0-4 on the tournament. That's a pretty decent drop, pretty big drop for a team that is usually definitely in the running to win the championship or at least make it to the finals. But at this rate, it's going to be very difficult for them, as Lucas walks Laza here. So that's not something he would be looking for. And we see activity in the Curaçao bullpen. That seems rather late. But we have several Curaçao relief pitchers picking up a glove and a ball. There's some toss being played. And the big rubber bands have come out as well. That's Lucas. Quick windup, fires 71 on the gun. Current standings, Japan leading the pack 4-0. Netherlands in second place 2-1. USA 2-1 as well. I don't think this is updated. Curaçao in fourth place, Italy in fifth, 1-3, might be updated. And Cuba is set 0-3, currently at the bottom. 3.5 games back from Japan. We have an 0-2 count here on Benitez. Lucas looking to put him away here, probably with a 50-mile-an-hour looper or something like that, as there's the pitch. 66. I wasn't that far off. It's floated into right field and foul, not a play. Yeah, now the runner has to go all the way back to first, and he's taking a sweet time. It's not like we're one strike away from ending this ball game. Good Lord, man. Not in a hurry. As the crowd is also clapping, indicating we are potentially one strike. Well, we are one strike away. It's an 0-2 count on Benitez. Here comes Lucas's pitch. It's hit into right field, and when this ball comes down, it is Dunzo. Curaçao beat Cuba behind a fantastic pitching performance from Lucas, Jordan Lucas, spectacular performance. 52, 54 mile an hour pitches, and he gets it done. So Cuba loses 1-0 to Curaçao, and we will make ourselves ready for the nightcap, the 7:30 game between Team USA and Team Kingdom of the Netherlands. I will be back with you for that ball game. I will be joined by Sean Houston, my co-announcer for a handful of games already during this tournament, and we will give you all the information you need about that ball game for the 7 innings that it may last. For now, Curaçao beats Cuba 1-0. Jasper, that's my name. I thank you for your attention. On behalf of Jeroen Groenemans, my executive director, we hope to see you at 7:30 for Team Kingdom of the Netherlands and Team USA.
Zijn veld maakt onder zijn leiding 1 foutje. Dus een pitcher met nummer 19, Jordan Lucas.